Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm out at the range with a classic pistol in my collection. This is my .30 Luger. This one is a DWM. It was manufactured in the 20s. It is a commercial Luger because it is a .30 caliber Luger and does not have military markings on it. The Germans adopted them in 9mm. Those are considered military Lugers. However, there were countries like Switzerland that adopted the pistol and used it in its .30 Luger chambering. The handgun's a classic pistol. It was designed around the turn of the century. Now keep in mind, around the turn of the century, we just got smokeless powder just before 1900, and immediately geniuses like John Browning and Luger and other people started designing semi-automatic and fully automatic weapons. Maxim, for example, was working on his machine gun designs around the turn of the century. And that was all made possible by the invention of smokeless gunpowder. So a lot of the pistols and rifles that came out of that era were very unique, and this is one of those more unique designs that really, outside of this pistol, never really went anywhere. Now this gun is a, if you will, second generation almost of this toggle locking mechanism. This gun borrowed some of its design inspiration from the Borchardt pistol that predates it by a few years. That pistol was never really found much favor in military circles. The gun was big and awkward and kind of clumsy, and so Borchardt actually went to work with Luger to develop this handgun, and the .30 Luger that this handgun fires was also developed around 1898, before the turn of the century, and it wound up being the first official chambering of the Luger. Now some guys will say that the .30 Luger was developed because of the Treaty of Versailles, and the Germans were unable to manufacture 9mm handguns because it was a military chambering, and that's untrue. The .30 Luger predates the Treaty of Versailles by a good number of years. Now, it may be true that the Germans could not manufacture anything but .30 Lugers after the Treaty of Versailles. That I don't know, but I do know that the cartridge was developed well before the Treaty of Versailles. And it is the original chambering, again, of the Luger pistol. Now, these handguns are really cool because you can actually pick these up, the DWM commercial pistols like this one, for a fairly modest price. You're looking at about $800 to $1,000 for a handgun like this. It will not have the military markings, won't have serial numbers and all the parts, and typically it'll be chambered in something like .30 Luger, which is kind of hard to come by. It is available. It's not inexpensive, but it can be hard to find at times. I find the ammunition on ammoseek.com. I just go there and look for obscure cartridges to feed my obscure firearms. So if you want to pick one up, this is a good option, or if you want to pick up something like a Luger, I'll show you something briefly here in the video as well that can give you the experience of shooting a Luger with its unique toggle action without having to incur the cost of actually buying one of these pistols or feeding it with real ammunition. All right, guys, so I just want to let you know that right off the bat, this gun's going to have some problems. The ammunition I have for it today is stuff I just got in the mail so I could shoot this video, and it's Fiocchi 93 grain ball ammo. It seems to be a bit underpowered. The ammunition I fired out of it previously was a little bit warmer, and the gun works reliably. This is short stroking. It's not fully functioning the action of the gun, so it's riding up over rounds in the magazine. So sadly, I'm going to clear a lot of malfunctions in the handgun this afternoon. I only have 5 rounds loaded into the magazine simply because it's reducing the spring pressure on the bolt itself, and it will, which hopefully will minimize malfunctions, but probably not. Let me go ahead and show you this as well. See this little thing sticking up right here? That's a loaded chamber indicator. The Germans were doing that long before anybody else. How about that, huh? Very forward-thinking handgun. All right, let's clear some malfunctions. All right, 2 rounds into the 5. The bolt overrode the round in the chamber. I can typically fix it just by pulling the toggle back a little bit, pushing the nose of the bullet down, or sometimes I can't. Ah, darn it. Wouldn't you know it. There we go. Wiggled them in there. Should have 3 more rounds here. And it won't lock open on the last round fired. Again, underpowered. All right, 1 malfunction out of 5, not bad. Let's take a closer look at my German pre-war Luger. Let's field strip the Luger and show you guys how that looks. You'll take an empty magazine. There's no rounds in it. I'm going to check to make sure the weapon's clear. Pull up on the toggle, inspect the chamber. The gun's empty. Take your empty magazine, insert it into the grip of the gun, and then pull the toggle up and lock it to the rear. Now you can push the magazine release and remove the magazine. You don't need it for the rest of the procedure. There's a little lever, I don't know if you guys can see it right there. You just flip this down. All right, sorry about the shade there. You flip that little lever down, and now when you release the toggle, the action will separate. So I'm going to pull back on the toggle, break it loose, and you'll see what happened there. When the toggle goes forward, that little side plate starts to pop off. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and take it off and set the side plate aside. Push the toggle all the way down, pull forward, and it will come apart. Now there's this little piece right here. See how that engages? It's a little tiny silver piece. All right. Taking it apart, you don't have to worry about it. You just pull it apart and it just kind of hangs there and swings. Okay? I'll show you how to put that back together. Now you can take your lower, sunlight's really bad, take your lower and set it aside. And now to take the upper apart, you just push up on the toggle. It's still under spring pressure. And then there's a pin here in the rear. We're going to start on this side and push it this way. Okay? You might want to use the tip of a bullet. I don't need to. I just kind of start it with the pad of my finger. It has a ledge on this side. And you just kind of pull it out, and that's it. Set it aside. That releases the toggle, so now you can just draw it out of the upper receiver assembly. All right? Separated. That's it. Now you can set this aside. You can go one step further if you'd like. There's a little striker here that you can push down and turn with your finger, and it'll take the striker and spring out. I rarely take it apart. You can clean the gun with a Q-tip without having to really do that. It's just inviting to lose a small spring and a small striker, especially out here in the field, so I'm not going to take it apart. To put it back together, you just reverse the process. Stick your bolt inside your frame. It'll line up. Should line up. There we go. Very tightly fit, by the way. Push up on your toggle and drop it down like that. Now again, it's under spring pressure. You're just going to break the toggle action upward like this, and then line these holes up in the rear so you can push that pin across like that. All right? Now it's back together. Take your lower receiver, make sure your toggle's all the way down, hold it upside down, and slide the upper on. Now there's that little silver piece right there, okay? You get it back here and it'll drop down inside, and everything lines up and it goes back together. Now, just kind of push rearward on it a little bit, take your side plate, put it in place, kind of doing this backwards here, upside down. Pop that in place, flip your lever up, let the toggle go, and your pistol is back together. Again, pretty simple for this old design that looks overly complex. Let's talk about the operating mechanism of the Luger. Now this toggle action sets it apart from other handgun designs of the 20th century. The toggle works in such a way that when the bolt is in the forward position, everything is in line, and no matter how much you push on the face of that bolt, the gun can't unlock by itself. Now when the gun fires, the weapon's clear, all right? You can see that the weapon's clear. There's no magazine in it. So when the gun fires, the whole upper assembly moves rearward. Watch. See how it moves rearward? Okay? So that's giving the bullet time to exit the barrel. What happens is you'll notice the cut on the lower receiver here is in an angle, and it looks like it might interface with the toggle that we use for charging the weapon. That's because once this moves fully rearward, you can see how the receiver starts to break the action upward of the toggle. Okay? It unlocks it. Now recoil forces can take over and continue the rearward movement of the toggle so that the gun extracts, ejects out the top straight up the spent case, and then under spring pressure goes forward and chambers a new round. The trigger is very light and clean on these guns, and the craftsmanship is spectacular. I mean, they're just simply beautifully made guns. Keep in mind, these things were manufactured long before CNC machines. These things were built by very talented people who knew how to use lathes and other machine tools and a lot of hand fitting to make these guns work. It's a very beautiful, elegant handgun. If you look at the markings, you can see the DWM here on the top. You'll notice it does not have a serial number here on this little side plate. That will tell you it's probably not a military Luger. The markings on this one in particular are very clearly civilian or commercial market Lugers. The sights, very sparse, again, typical of the era, but a very beautiful gun. Now, one other thing that's kind of interesting about the guns, Bill Ruger obviously did copy the design in terms of its ergonomics and overall appearance, but he even copied the magazine. You have this little follower you can pull down with your finger, and this one holds 830 caliber rounds, which is a little bottleneck cartridge. The 30 Luger's a little bottleneck. This one shoots a 93 grain projectile, which is a standard ball load for the gun. And you'll notice it also has a wooden butt plate on the magazine, which is common. All right, isn't that amazing? So anyway, the pistol together is just a beautiful piece of history. Very easy, gentle shooting handgun, especially in the 30 Luger. Has almost no recoil, and it's just a piece of history. And the accuracy is really spot on. These fixed sights, I mean, it hits right to point of aim. It's just a really, really fun pistol to shoot. I just wish I had better ammo for it this afternoon. It's really hard to get ammo for it at times, so I could show you functioning properly. I went ahead and really, really lubed the gun up quite a bit, and I got several magazines through it of 5 rounds. I can't load a full 8, which is what it holds, because there's just too much pressure on the bottom of the bolt, and the underpowdered cartridges simply won't cycle the action reliably. But anyway, yeah, there you go, guys. It has a manual safety. It's a striker-fired gun. This way. You can tell the safety is on because a little bar pops up here. And then, or you can read German, which I don't, put it on fire. By moving it to that position, you'll see that little bar drops down. Magazine release is right here, and of course the gun does lock open on the last round fired, so it has what we call an American style release long before it was even popular in America. All right, beautiful little pistol. Let's do some more shooting with it. Hopefully we can get a full 5 rounds out of it without it malfunctioning for you guys here. Back when the Luger was designed and used, most folks shot handguns with one hand. The modern two-handed hold really wasn't all that popular, at least from my understanding of history. So I'm going to go ahead and fire this pistol one-handed. Now, I may not be able to give it enough support that it needs to fully cycle because of the rather pud-loaded ammunition I'm shooting this afternoon. But I'm going to give it a try anyway and see how she does. Or maybe it was intended to be fired with one hand, even locked open. I wish I had more ammo, man. I could stand out here all day long and shoot this handgun. It's so pleasant. You know what? Let's break out the chronograph and let's see how fast these little 93 grain projectiles are going. This is one of the coolest chronographs I've ever used. I used to be a big fan of the magneto speeds because you could clamp them onto your rifle and get velocity readings, but with every single mount I could possibly buy for it, it only fit maybe 60-70% of the guns I have. And so I would find myself taking it and my crony out to the range just in case I couldn't mount the little bayonet to my firearm that the magneto speed has. Then I discovered this at my long range. Another guy was using it out there and I had never seen it before. I got to play with his, went back, ordered one, been playing with it, and I'm so impressed with it. We actually carry the thing now at Copper Custom for about 560 bucks. You can get one of these. It's about $100 more than a magneto speed with all of its attachments, but it's infinitely more reliable and easier to set up and certainly easier to use. All right, so let's go ahead and set it to record here. I'm turning the Doppler radar system on. Got a bug crawling on me. There we go. A little orange light means it's recording. Now, I'm probably going to have to clear malfunctions here, but anyway, here we go. $10.79, $10.73, $10.61, $10.60. Wow, no malfunctions. $10.51, and it even locked open. Okay, very good. It's unpredictable, but 5 rounds. All right, guys. So about 1,050 feet per second with a 93 grain pill. Definitely not the most powerful handgun I've ever shot, but probably why it's so comfortable to shoot. I have one more Luger out here this afternoon, and this is it. Right here. Look at that beauty. Almost looks brand spanking new. Isn't that gorgeous? The only difference is this one's a BB gun. I'm not kidding, folks. This is a BB gun, and this is the real deal. They look pretty darn identical. The heft is the same. The operating mechanism is the same, right down to the toggle. Now check this out. Holds about 20 BBs in this little self-contained magazine. That is a CO2 cartridge in there. It shoots 177 caliber BBs. Goes into the pistol grip just like a standard Luger. And again, it has the same heft and weight. Now check this part out. I'm gonna pull up on the toggle and charge the weapon. Now how cool is that? Now watch this bad boy shoot. See the toggle working? And it even locks open last shot fired. How cool is that? It's almost like shooting a suppressed Luger. It's a lot of fun. You can shoot it in your house if you have a little BB stop. You can shoot it in the backyard if it's legal in your area. And it's just kind of fun to have. I just take this thing out and let my kids shoot it. They have a blast with this little guy. And they don't cost anywhere near what a real Luger in 9mm or 30 Luger are going to cost you. Kind of a neat little option out there. The Legends series of air guns, you'll find them at like 455 Webley. You'll find Mauser, C96 Mausers, and also P08 Lugers. Kind of a fun little option out there just to play around and kind of scratch that itch and need to pull that trigger every once in a while without having to go out to the range. I hope you guys enjoyed coming out to the range with me this afternoon and shooting my classic German Luger pistol manufactured by DWM. I really enjoy taking this old girl out and taking her for a spin every once in a while. It's really hard, as I mentioned, to find ammunition at times, and quality ammunition, but also some of the contributing factors to the problems I was having this afternoon may be related to the worn springs that are in the gun. These still are the original springs. Companies like Wolf Springs manufacture newly made springs for these pistols, and I'm probably going to put a set in here in the magazine and the main operating spring just to get it back up to speed, and it may actually cure some of the problems. Although, as I said, with other ammunition, the gun runs 100%. If you guys have any questions about anything you've seen in this video, of course you can ask those questions right down below. I typically stick around for the first couple of days after a video goes live to answer the questions you guys may have. Also, please swing by and check out Copper Custom. If you want to support the Military Arms channel, it's the best possible way to do that. Swing by again and check out Copper Custom. And if you haven't already, please check out Full30.com. That's Full30.com. We've taken all the web's best firearms content creators and brought them under one roof, and that is Full30.com. Now, let's see if I can get off 5 rounds one-handed with this old girl before we go home this afternoon. Take care, guys. We'll talk to you soon. I think she likes to be shot one-handed. Try to keep that in mind.